The key to growth is when you introduce your consciousness into your awareness. So, today in this podcast, we'll be talking about, first of all, awareness and then how we can align our consciousness to that. So, Parveen, because I want my audience to be aware about the changes that are coming in industry, can you bless us with your understanding about four changes that you see? And four changes because my entire episode is about four. So, four changes in industry, testing industry in the future.
Yes, there are many, but yes, let's pick up four of them. So, one of them, I think pretty much everyone right now are talking about, right? A lot of changes around how to adapt, how to embrace, how to think about, how to make use of it. It's like AI, right? So
Yeah,
that's the main right now the current trend going on. Like, of course, like two ways. Like one is like fear of will it take away our jobs, and second thing is second side of people are like, how can we embrace it? How can we make use of it? What are the capabilities of those? I think that's one of the change, definitely. And another change, like future, I'm hearing a lot of like quality coaching side of things, quality advocating side of things, like a lot of people going into that human side of testing, like
right.
even though very two different opposites, I feel like, right? Like one side AI, and then we are talking about, I can see that a lot of people going into the still going like sticking to like create, how can I apply my creative mindset to the testing side of things, like not forgetting that, like that's one of the trend through quality coaching or advocating. I think that's one of the thing. And again, another trend, like it's always right. You get so many new tools coming up for UI automation or API automation, like and lot of new tools coming up to learn. Like for example, right now I think a lot of people picking up Cypress and Playwright, for example, for UI. It's like embracing, as
Yeah,
you said, started off right. It's about seeing the trend of embracing with AI, with tools, with roles,
yeah.
and what else? Like I think it's just about thinking more around being more, again, as you said, conscious about quality. So I think this has been already there, but I think it's even pretty much more now. I think, which is again like, yeah, I think people are embracing to those things and being very conscious about adapting these things.
This actually makes sense because AI, of course, everybody's talking about it. But what I draw from what you're saying is it should be same but more powerful. It should be
Yeah,
same like testing tools, techniques, but it should be more powerful so that people understand and
yeah.
consciously accept it that quality is everyone's responsibility.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
So when we talk about enhancing those things, I have seen you have been talking more about DevOps, right? So when testers they want to enhance, they should understand these segments where testing touches. One of the segment is product, of course, development, and then this thing DevOps. Also, people talk. So why DevOps, and how if a tester want to achieve some excellence to DevOps like a tester, how they
Mm.
can do that?
Yeah, DevOps, I think, yeah, it's been there for a while now, right? And I think it's just it's about every company seeing why how they want to adapt that, and it's about moving faster, releasing as often as we can, right? And when we think about that, I think we need to again coming back to embrace part of thing, right? How do we embrace this, and how do we think differently of how do we test, how do we change our approach to testing differently to make it, like when things are moving faster, how do we still think consciously about testing, right? And how do we add those different elements around testing across, like for example, like I'm sure like a lot of people talk about shifting left or even shift right, or continuous testing process, right? So it's about, as a tester, if it is like DevOps, like when there are many releases going out, right? So it's about you thinking differently of like how can you make sure, not having the mindset of I want to test everything, but how can I get to the mindset of like how much do I need to test, and how can I make it like the quality is still there, and how can I spread it across and make it as a continuous testing loop, and not just make it as like one part of it, like starting early testing through shifting left, right? And again, it's about like not just testing when the feature is there, but it's about like how do you start testing even before one line of code is not written. So it's even that is a part of it, right? And shifting right, like how do you learn from your production? How do you take the feedback of all the production incidents, or like any, like, if you have observability or monitoring in place, how do you take that feedback and improve your process? So it's about continuous testing through continuous improvement, in this whole DevOps thing.
This is something new I have heard. I mean, I have seen people talking about structural change in DevOps with tools. They talk about cultural change, but this you mentioned behavioral change in tester so that they behave even the code is not written, still they need to think about testing. I think this is really important. And those differentiator factors are these kind of keys only when people understand how differently they should do. So Parveen, with your experience, I mean, there are people who are learning these things. You have been so technical in your career. People are learning automation. They want to enhance their capability in automation and this tooling part. So, what is your self experience advice to such kind of testers who want to really reach to the advanced level or to the excellent level in their career?
Yeah, so I think if you really like an automation enthusiast, basically, right? Like, and you want to, it depends, like whether you want to have an exposure to automation so that you know what's happening with the current tools and current trends and how you can use that, or if you are an automation enthusiast. So it's two different things as well, right? So if it's about like um, keeping consistency within like trying to practice. Again, I am not a big fan of like, there are so many tools coming out, right? Like
Yeah.
always they'll be there. So I always say that stick to your foundations. Like, why are you even using these tools? Like, what is it for, and how is it going to help you, and how much difficulty is it for your team to adapt to it if you're introducing within your team. And for yours, I think it's about that. And if you really want to advance your stuff in your automation, right, it's about like consistency and trying it, practicing it. And I feel like not just practicing it and building POCs, but and not just practicing on the test websites, but
Mhm.
having the real experience of working on a project is
Yeah.
like something that that will help. And yeah, not running behind every tool that's out there, but just sticking to what tool you have. Again, I'm not saying that you should not change and you should not adapt new tools. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm just saying that maybe um s- like have few tools in your toolbox
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just stick to those and adapt as and when. But yeah, not like using every tool for few months and then jumping around. So it's about what I'm trying to say is like learn the basics of the whole test automation, why you're using it, and the foundations of it, and then expand your skills on that by keeping it consistent, and working on your, like as I said, like real projects and as you work on, right? So that's the advice I can give.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for this advice. I think this makes my thought clear around how to proceed because it's a problem nowadays. You see, every single day one or the other company is launching, if not tool, then at least utilities are there. For same thing, you have multiple options to do. What to opt is really a real
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially I think I see that a lot of people, I know like everyone is like have different thought process, but I think from my opinion, a lot of people jump onto another tool thinking that, oh, I'm using this tool, so my tests are so flaky, so let me just use other tool so that I can build better tests. But that's why I say foundation. The
Yeah.
problem is, think about, I mean, flaky tests are not, maybe not because of your tool, but maybe because of the strategy that you're using to what to
Right.
automate and whatnot, right? So that's where I was coming from. Keep me having it for foundations. Yeah.
Influence. This is a word which people are so much influenced with. So how and what I go according to you is the influence, and how you say that people need to find out their style of influencing, right? So how to find out that style?
When I say influencing, right, like when you are, no matter what level you are on, right, like when you're a tester, when you're working with the team, when you're interacting with different like developers or product owners or business stakeholders or anyone, so day to day basis, I feel like you need to have those influencing skills during your every conversation, because
Yeah.
um it's about like helping teams to think about quality differently, right? So you just go you I feel like you just can't go and tell that, you know what, this is what testing is and this is what quality is and this is how you should do. It's about building that trust, and it's about building that relationship so that and using your credibility, right? And so that they have that trust in you, and then you can kind of influence them to come along with your journey of whatever, like, you're building that quality practices in your team, or whether you're building the so it's about having those skills to influence them through building the trust, building the relationships, and by using your credibility, like, and using those skills to enable the teams and help everyone to think about testing differently. So that's how I think what influencing is when I think about, like, being a tester on a team. I think that's how I have always seen, and I have always worked in that way. And when I say everyone has their own style, right? Like, everyone has their own way of building their relationships with their, like, with the teams, with and everyone has different way of getting people onboarded on the journey of like quality, right? So which is where I said, like, everyone will have a different style of how they approach this and how they influence their team, or the company. So which is why I said it's very different. And the way you can how can you find, I think it's just, I think you just need to figure out what is the most the key value in you, that you are more like, what is it, like, for example, if I talk about myself, right, the way how I find my own influencing, like, style is like, I like talking to people, like, and I like sharing, I like knowledge sharing, I like building that connections. So that's kind of my style. So I think people might have different ways and different styles. So which is why I say everyone has different style, and they can find that and they can use that to influence when they are working with the teams.
Certainly, everyone have their own style. One of the, again, a key word for me was credibility. You can impress somebody with one talk, but credibility will convert it into influencing. And I think
Yes.
that's an amazing thing. So it was
Yes.
pleasure talking to you, Parveen. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and effort to be part of this episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.